All right. So, Likutey Moharan, Tinyana, Torah Aleph. We have established that to the second, the three midos corrupt the year of Shlema, Yerushalayim, is through the Yom Tovim. So that each one of them, these three taivas, which are taivas moment, taivas achila, and the taiva for women, and each one of these bad midos is rectified by one of the Yom Tovim. Every Yom Tov of the three Shlosh Regalim has a specific propensity to rectify one of those midos. In Shavuos is Tavis Noshim, and in Sukkot is Tavis Achila, in Pesach is Tavis Moment. So each one of these Tavis is called Hashem. Also, the Yira is called Hashem. The Yira is Hashem Hanichbod. It's also that says Vayaz David Shem. That David made the Shem. David the Melech is in Hebron. David the Melech became a Melech. First of all, he made a Shem in I think Shem or Beslechem, I'm not sure. And it's because he had the Shem, he made a Malchus. He constructed the Bechina of Malchus. So, in order to each one of those taivas is called Hashem. It says, and this is B'Mesaken through the Yira, this is Bechinas Shem. Now, and Rabbeinu says, Siman Vav, it says as follows: Valadeh binyan Yerushalayim, by constructing Yerushalayim, the Hainu Tikun Shleimus Hayir Shabalev.
I want to mute it. How do I make it mute?
And so, I can get this thing. Okay. Sorry. Well, that being in Yerushalayim, by constructing Yerushalayim, in other words, purifying, getting rid of these, correcting, fixing these three bad midos. This makes the year and the heart complete, which means when the year is complete, the person is afraid of what he needs to be afraid of, and he's not afraid from what he's not supposed to be afraid of. Well, the problem is that we may have Yira, but many times because the heart is being slanted with these three midos, so it causes us to be afraid of the things we shouldn't be afraid of. I never have any money. I don't have money now. So it's a feeling like I'll never have any money. Why do I think that? Well, I never had any situations in the past that I didn't have money. As long as I remember myself, that's the way things were. Sometimes you have, sometimes you don't. But it seems whenever it is that the person He doesn't have money momentarily. Seems like maybe I won't have money, won't have to this, won't have to that. As if Chas v'Chalila Kadosh Baruch Hu is out to lunch. He's not going to look at me. I know that's the way things go, And not only this, but the situation of specifically money. I've said it many times. More than any other problem that a person has in his life, money in many ways is the easiest. On one hand, it's the most frequent. On the other hand, it almost always gets solved. Practically always gets solved. As long as a person doesn't panic and is not miyash himself, is willing to wait for Yeshua Hashem, it comes, it's solved, it's being solved. And the second thing is that whenever, when a money problem gets solved, it happens like Yeshua Hashem care, fine, boom. A minute before, I don't know what to do. It's like the next moment, oh, of course. Now I have money. It's like, duh, of course. It's like that's the third thing is that when a money problem is resolved, it doesn't leave any residue. There's no damages that it leaves behind. The person didn't freak out. Man, if a person freaks out, when the money, you get the money, it's finished. The problem is finished, it's gone. Other problem, health, whatever it is. I mean, even when a person recuperates many times, there's residue, there's leftover from, but money, the minute money comes in, that's it, it's gone. But maybe I'll never get money again. Yeah, I get stuck in a problem, I'll never be able to get out of it. What am I going to do? What am I going to this? What am I going to that? Or a person, we spoke about it quite a few times. We learned here that Simon for Someone's Azus is through, is their person, their fame is based on Azus, on boldness. They're ambitious, they're bold, they're not ashamed, they push. The union of Azus, Chazal say two things about it, of boldness. One thing it says, and there are two opposite things. First of all, it says, Az ponim legehenna. Bosh is ponim legehenna, Azus ponim legehenna. Anybody who's bold has Azus, Shevirachem. And it says Avraham Avinu has replaced all the punishments, the punishments for all their errors. And the people shouldn't get to Gehenna except Azus. Anybody that's Azus Panim, he goes to Gehenna, Allah. On the other hand, we know this Azus the Kedusha. Lo nitna Torah Yisrael elev mipnei shem azan shebaomas. You have to have Azus the Kedusha, otherwise the Meforsamim shel Sheker will just push you off. You'll yield to social pressure, and you just, and that's one of the things that needs to be understood. The Gabed is in of Azus, of boldness, and that is that Baishonos, meekness, and boldness are two sides of the same coin. It's just a question of who you're embarrassed before and who you don't mind daring. For instance, It's a common sight, when somebody goes, can be common sight. Somebody goes to daven from the Omen, and he's rushing to the tefillah. People, they have chiyuvim, so they go from the Omen, and they fly. Many times. No. So you come to ask him, you say, like, why don't you slow down? So he says, I'd love to daven slower, but the people and the minion, they push me. It's just forget about the fact that most times it's not truth. Really, I want to daven fast. But somebody tells me, no, that's not called daven. They're pushing me. It's not me. Don't look at me. But the truth is that even if it is, because many times it is, you yield to pressure. People say, "Oh, hey, gotta go to work." I got children to take to cheder. I got this. I got that. Whatever it is, finish it up. Just don't dwell. When you are being a baishan, when you are being meek, when you're embarrassed before the people who push you, social pressure, you're being an asponim to Kadosh Baruch. That was, you'd rather not be embarrassed from people, and you don't mind being embarrassed, with Kadosh Baruch. Okay, I'll take care of it. The Kadosh Baruch, we know each other. It's said that it's going to be all right. On the other hand, if you are embarrassed by Kadosh Baruch, a baishon, then you're asponim to the people. You daven the way that you need to daven. There is a Rav. He's a Lubavitcher chassid, and he's an elderly gentleman. Rav. He davens shachris, milo b'milo. He drives the oilam nuts. I mean, literally. You're like, oh. Me too. I don't have the patience for that. He's doing it the way it's supposed to be done. You can sit on his case from now until the cows come home. Nothing bothers him. Nothing phases him. Baruch Sha'omar, V'hoy ha'oilok, Baruch Oymer V'oyser. Word for word, he hammers it in place. He is embarrassed by Kadosh Baruch Hu. He's asked for him to the Olam. So, and achinami, you have to have, a certain kind of common sense of realize when you can, when you're going to the Olam, and, realize what can be done, what cannot be done. I was told many, many years ago, Nachman Galinsky, there are certain times, that you have to be able to, to move a little bit quicker. No, not fly through it, but it's not like in Kol HaKavod, it's you want to daven in the minyan where they daven slowly, milo b'milo, find it's a minyan that people do that. It's not just that people are mezalzel. Okay, the Gemara says that people are mezalzel on the tefillah, but the point is that not everybody can be soivel that. Not many people have the bandwidth, of the concentration, of the, to be able to take it, just like it's not easy. So same thing is that, there's a halacha when a person davens Shmoneh Esrei, nobody's allowed to pass in front of him, daladamas. So, okay, but halacha is if you're standing in a public passage, people can pass through. Nobody asks you to stand there. But if you're just standing in your seat and whatever it is, when you're holding that, People are not supposed to, and unless they actually be oisik and cheers dishbachas, they're not even supposed to sit in front of in your daladanas. But if a person knows that he's marich b'tefillah, go to the Mizrach. Why machshel the oilam? Why cause the oilam to be, to pass? First of all, most people don't even know the halach. So mamish lefnei evil not to ten mechshel. Mamish lefnei evil. But b'chagi, the person has to have a stickle sense, whether every person has to be makaris atzmai, has to understand, where he's holding and so forth and so on. But the point is that the person decides, what are you afraid of, and what you're not afraid of. And the more a person diminishes his misak and the shalosh midas, he's afraid from what he needs to be afraid of, and he's not afraid from what he's not supposed to be afraid of. The Rebbe says as follows. Now, what happens is that builds the Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim in the heart of a person is a pchinas bino, so inyan golo. Haino tikun shleima sayira shebalev. Al dei zeh nivra malach. This creates an angel. Now, remember, all this thing that we're talking about is in order to enable you to get to the point where you have dominion over the malachim. So the process of being able to do it creates a malach. Now that is a very special malach. The malach shemashpia nevuah l'chlei nevuah. This malach brings down nevuah to the kelim and nevuah. This is netzach v'hod. Brings about nevuah to that nevuah. Ba v'pchinas kruvim. Kruvim this is the malachim v'pchinas. Said Moshe Rabbeinu came to Oil Moed Bishmas Hakol. Moshe Rabbeinu heard the voice of Kodesh Baruch Hu. Rashi says which call? There's Hakol. The Hakol is the Hey Yedir. What does that Hakol means? That Hakol means the call that he heard on Mama Sinai. That Bnei Israel, when they heard that voice, the neshama left their bodies. They were pushed off like I think 20 personas. Then the Shama left their bodies, came back, and the Malachim brought him back 20 personas to Hasinai. That voice was sounding inside the Mishkan. Moshe Rabbeinu hears it. Rashi says this is a unique voice. That it sounds in the Mishkan in Oil Moed, but the minute it gets to the border of the Kodesh, the voice doesn't go on, doesn't continue. It stops there. But there's a soundproofing. The voice just stops right then. The Moshe Rabbeinu is the only one who hears it. He hears the voice being spoken to him from above the kapiros, which is on top of the Aron Kodesh or Edus. From between the two kruvim. This is the ben shnei kruvim. Moshe Rabbeinu was Mekabel, received the nevuah, the prophecy, from HaKadosh Baruch Hu through the two keruvim, the two cherubs that were on top of Kodesh in the Kodesh HaKodesh. The keruvim hem anpizutarti. This is small face. That's what the Zohar says, because they had a body with the faces of babies. So they're called small faces. In the Shorish Elyon, the spiritual reality gift that is working in the Shnei Akruvim is the Netzach V'Hod. This is where the Nevuah comes. It's a known thing, Nevuahs. That's why we also say Netzach V'Hod. This is the Arovas. Because the Arovas, the leaves of the Arovas look like lips. It says this Netzach V'Hod, you have two Arovas. Not can you get Netzach, not can you get Hod. You have three Hadosim. Chesed Gvur Tiferes, in Netzach V'Hod you have this is where the Nevuah comes from. That is the Keli of the Nevuah. V'hem nishpoim min ha-malach, and they get the messages from the Malach. Bivchinas, what is it said? This is hinted, this is alluded to in the pasuk HaMalach HaGoel Oisi Mikol Ra. The Malach that retrieves me, that saves me from all evil, Yevorech es ha-ne'orim. That Malach that retrieves from all bad, in other words, it gives Nevuah and tells you what is going to be. Yevorech es ha-ne'orim. The bracha, the Nevuah from that Malach goes through the Ne'orim. The bracha, the Nevuah comes through Netzach V'Hod, which are Antizutri, the small faces. This is what they call Chinas Kruven. This particular Malach, Shorsha Miyira, the root where this Malach comes from is being created from the Yira. That's why it's only when the Yira is proper, the way it's supposed to be, then this Malach is being created. This is Oisias Malach. Rabbeinu says that the letters of the word Malach, those who fear Kadosh Baruch Hu, will never lack anything. This brings about the flow of prophecy. Even children can prophesy. B'fchinos, it says, "La'asid lavoi, v'nibu b'nechem u'v'nosechem." You know what's interesting here? I think Rabbi Nachman said that we know that now at Parshas Bereshis, this week is Parshas Toldos, Rosh Chodesh Kislev, and we hear stories about the Avos, about the Avram's slave Eliezer was last week. He goes to bring Rivka, and not only this, but he tells his story. And then while he tells the story, he says again what the story is. In other words, the Torah tells his story, what happened, and then Eliezer himself is telling the story weiter, something again, to Besuad and Lova. Rashi says already, so like, what's going on here? You have Kufa Torah, Chashavas, that you see from a yitur of a letter or a spitz of a letter, whatever it is, you have a whole pasha that is very interesting. I think that the Brisker of, I think, said this particular, well, I think so. He says about when Eliezer said to Besul and Lavan, he tells them that the girl that will come, Hayaya, today, will bring about, will draw the water for me and for the camels. This is how we'll know that she's the one that is meant for Yitzchak. So you ask, why is the meaning of Hayim? Why it says the girl will come, will do it today. You'll prove to me today that she's. Says that the Torah doesn't tell us stories. Every single word in the Torah is a mukhrach. So what is the Yom Hayim doing there? So he says because when the Eved is making a simon, how will he know? He says this is when this is happening. It's like Esa Shoavis. In other words, that was close to dusk. This is when the girls come to draw water. It was just before nightfall. In other words, the minute he said what he said, there was no time before nightfall. What happened before nightfall? It's no longer higher. So Rivka came immediately then. She came before nightfall. And that's why the Surah Lavan said it's a 100% proof. Well, you say whatever it is, you can come 5 minutes later. 5 minutes is already not, it's no longer higher. It's not already today. It's already the next day. It's a Hayim, immediately she came. It's a proof positive that this is arrived from Kodesh Baruch Hu. Every single story, quote unquote, that the Torah tells us is an absolute proof positive and teaches something, not only this, but la halacha and so forth and so on. Not only what happened to them, but also their names. Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Yitzchak is, they said, Al Shem Tzchok. All this meaning of laughter is a uniquely human thing. Animals do not laugh. Animals are actually very grim creatures. There's no humor in animals. Only shy humor when you endow a human quality on an animal, like animals, and like in a video, and you should like put human words up on top. It can be funny. Animals themselves are never funny. Laughter is uniquely human thing. Question is, not only this uniquely human thing, it's specifically unique to the Jewish people. What is the name? Avram Avinu is the originator of Am Yisrael. What's the name of his son? Yitzchak. Laughter. Before he's born, when Avram Avinu hears about it, he laughs. When Sarah Aminu hears about it, she laughs. And they call Yitzchak after the name of laughter. Laughter is when something, when something impossible happens. This is when laughter is caused. What makes a joke funny? When you go one way and suddenly you make a 180 degrees turn, like a person calls his mother and from his car, and she tells him, it just said in the news that there's one crazy driver that's going against traffic. So his son says, I don't know what you're talking about. There are hundreds of them. Or when you're saying, when I was a kid, I thought that anybody could be elected. I believed that anybody can become president. When I grew up, I found that it was true. To my heart, I find that it was true. In other words, this kind of in one fell swoop, The same thing, after Hanukkah, there's Purim. Purim is a month of laughter. The entire thing is that all the clothes in Sefer Dvarim, there's a boatload of the most horrible clothes. Moshe Rabbeinu says what happens, and what is it? What does it say? Is Tachas Asher Lo Ahavat Hashem Elokecha B'Simcha. The clothes, before was saying, Tachas Zavtani, because you left me. But in Sefer Dvarim, Lo Ahavat Hashem Elokecha B'Simcha. That's it. Such horrible punishment to not be B'Simcha. Yitzchak is, the Zohar says, is Oisius Ketz Chai. The end, death, then it's Chai. Then it starts to live again. That's what happened with Yitzchak. When Avraham Avinu was told to bring the Dakedah, one of the shittas is that when Avraham Avinu put the knife to his throat, he died. It's the shamal of the body. He took the knife away, Shalom came back. Some say it took 3 years. But anyhow, the point is that Yitzchak, Al Shem Tzchok, the Simcha, represents Ketz, is a death, and it's alive all over again. That's the mechanism of funny. Goes back. Purim, of course. You have this. That's it. There's going to be a disaster. Homer Rasha makes the tree for Mordechai. The Medrash says he even made a loop, and to make sure that it would fit, he put his own head in it to make sure that the head can go. Gabriel Malach says that's right measurement. Don't worry about it. It fits. It fits the bill. The whole Megillah is Yitzchak, going one way, and the Nafachel, totally the other way. Moshe Rabbeinu is the instrument. He is the embodiment of this, first of all, of Nevuah, Bevadai, which means he is bringing in the Dibur of HaKadosh Baruch Hu into this world. Here we see that after the Ma'aseh Egel, Am Yisrael has to build a Mishkan to build the Kabbalah Nevuah. How does Nevuah come? It comes to Kodesh HaKodeshim by the use of the Krumen, right? Netzach v'Hod. This is where the Nevuah comes from. Specifically where? Mi ben shnei Krumen.
The space between.
Yes.
Space.
So therefore, mi ben shnei Krumen, the Rosh Tevis is Moshe. Mi ben shnei Krumen. Because this is the essence of Moshe Rabbeinu. Ad kedei kach, when a person is mekadosh to the point that not only what happens to him in his lifetime is Kodesh Kodeshim, but even his name signifies. That's one of the reasons that signifies his role in the world. That's why you see in Koch Ve'or that he has a Akdama when he takes Rabbeinu's name and he brings like how many different Perushim, Ashetevis, this, Gematria this, and you go like, because you're talking about the tzaddik that Baruch Hashem has achieved Tachas Hashem, so his name is referred into in Gematria and all those things, Ashetevis, everything. Because he is all these things. As Rabbeinu said, that his Gabbai, his Meshamish, Reb Shimon, This, by the way, is buried in Tzfas. When, towards the end of Rebbe's life, Rabbeinu said about him, Shimon is oises mash ovain, that the sin is removed. Rabbeinu says, don't think that every person, his name is Shimon, that this thing applies to. This particular Shimon is mash ovain. Yira signifies Yitzchak. That's why they said, what is the midah of Yitzchak? What does it mean that the midah of Yitzchak is Gevura? When we look at the lifetime of Yitzchak Avinu, we don't see that he conducted any wars. Other befeked, you see with Avimelech, the slaves of Avimelech, the slaves of Yitzchak dug a well, and after Avimelech pushed them away, so they went away. So he gives each be'er, each well that's being chased away, he gives a name, Esek, Sitna, whatever it is. The third one, they didn't argue, fine.
That's a Rehovot? Rehovot?
Yeah, Rehovot. Now things are fine. So you see the one of that represents Gvura seems to be anything but. You don't see any heroism from him, any might, nothing. In this week's Pasha, when Yaakov Avinu, the whole thing with Esav, and Rivka tells Yaakov Avinu, to wear the goat skins and get the brachas from Yitzchak. Yitzchak cannot see anymore. And afterwards, Esav gets very, very upset. Rivka gets a nevuah that Yitzchak says in his own heart that after Yitzchak passes away, he's going to kill Yaakov. And so she says to her husband, to Yitzchak, if Yaakov is taking any of Bnos Canaan, he says, I don't want to live. Okay. He calls him. He's more than the brachas. He gives him the brachas. The brachas that my father will give me, I'm giving it to you. Sends him to Haran. Just a second. Rivka and Yaakov played Yitzchak to get the brachas from him. Doesn't say anything. Won't see anywhere that Yitzchak says, how could you? How dare you? We see that Reuven later on switches the beds of Yaakov Avinu, he loses the Bechorah. Here, Yaakov Avinu takes the bracha, plays Kivayachol Yitzchak Avinu. Nothing. Not a word. Because the ikar of the midah of the Gvura is not to counter others. Ikar midah Gvura is to counter oneself. It says in Pirkei Avos, Godel koivish es Yitzroi, koivish ir. Somebody who holds back on his Yetzer is greater than somebody who can conquer a city. That's the Gvura of Yitzchak. Yitzchak, everything that he's 37, his father, his father's 137 years old.
So it's not that he didn't potentially have feelings about any of these situations, but he held himself in check. He had Gibora
It's
in his own
yes, it's
rage.
I
or
would
anger
say
or,
so. I would say like Yitzchak Avinu, it's already to the point that the feelings are not there anymore. There's such realization of the righteousness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that there's no snugness, there's no resistance, that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't. Good. I mean, Avimelech, it's like they fill up the wells that his father dug and they're chasing him away. Fine. You can see that once he came to Avimelech, and Avimelech said, he becomes very, very wealthy. Elon Musk of the ancient times. This says that the zevel of the mules of Yitzchak was more valuable than the gold of Avimelech. To the point that Avimelech said, you got to go away. You got to just go away. I mean, just like, you're too big. And then they come to him. So you see that Yitzchak says, why did you come to me? You chased me away from you. Why are you coming to me now? It's not he didn't have, it's not, he wasn't appeasing. Yitzchak Avinu had a total acceptance of what HaKadosh Baruch Hu does. Completely. That's also the reason why, he couldn't see anymore at the end of days. Because the Gemara says that somebody is blind. He no longer has the Yetzer Hara. In Yitzchak Avinu, it's the other way around. When he no longer has a Yetzer Hara, he doesn't see the world anymore. Because this world doesn't challenge him anymore. It's only when a person has this kind of year, then the nevuah can come. And we will see later on that Rabbeinu explains that this is ultimately releases the tefillah. That everything comes in order to get to the point of raising the tefillah. This is when a person knows that the year is really the way it's supposed to be. As a trailer to what's going to come later, there's the Indian of why do we need to go through this whole Indian that the Yira has to create a Malach, the Malach has to create Nevuah, the Nevuah has to clarify the Koach HaMadama, and ultimately comes in that Tefillah is being rescued from the Galus and the person can daven. Why do we need to go through this entire process? The answer is that a person can never tell where he is holding Yira-wise. Because the nature of Yira is that when a person does something that is pogim his Yira, he feels that I'm the same guy I used to be all along. My Yira is just the way it was. There's none. But really he's going down. Because now his entire focus shifted. What was before impossible to do, it's possible and possible. Or v'shana l'salak. So he cannot tell that his yira diminished. Same thing, a person whose yira has increased, the derech of somebody who has more yira, that he feels that he lacks yira. When was telling Yitzchak, whatever, he says, I think he writes it down. He says, I can't figure myself out. What's wrong with me? By the way, tonight's shir is dedicated to the Sech of Oshem in Israel, but Shmuel Shapiro Zechatzal Baruch that passed away this week. When a person has more yira, he feels that he's lacking yira. When a person diminishes in yira, he feels, oh, fine, don't worry about it. So how do you know? How do you know if you diminish in yira or you increase in yira? The ultimate answer is where you're holding in your tefillah. If your tefillah is increasing, the tefillah is nigo, then you know that your yira is going up. If your tefillah is diminished, you know that your yira has gone down. Because feeling-wise, you can't tell. This brings us to the final chapter of today's learning session. The Rebbe says in quite a few places that when a person comes to the tzaddik, it says that when he comes to the tzaddik, it can happen that he falls from his Dai Cheshek, Hashem. Before he wanted to come to the, got to the tzaddik, doesn't feel like davening, doesn't feel like learning, nothing. Rebbe says, don't be disturbed by that. Why? It says, Kol HaGoda Mechaveiro, anybody who was greater than his friend, Yitzur Gadol Mimeno, his Yetzirah is bigger. He says, what happens is that when a person overcomes the Yetzirah, he kills the Yetzirah. But he's not home free. He's getting a new Yetzirah, which is greater. So before he came to the tzaddik, he had the Yetzirah, he overcame it. How did he come? Then he came to the tzaddik. He killed the Yetzirah, and he gets a new one. How can he tell? Don't feel like doing anything. This is how you know. It's very, very important, this particular tidbit. Especially when we're talking about Yira, about Nevuah. Ultimately, one of the more confusing aspects for people who are into Avodas Hashem is that ups and downs, those ups and downs of Aliyahs, and you read this, and it's like, I was doing, and I was learning, and I was this, and I was that, whatever it is, and suddenly, and what happened to me? I can't understand. This is but the thoughts in my mind. Ugh. I thought I got rid of this years ago. Suddenly I look at myself. It's a little bit shaky again. It's in Bama. Oh, it used to be. What's going on? Okay, so you know the explanation. You went to the tzaddik, you killed the tzaddik, you got a new one. Fine. What do you do? What do you do? In the meantime, time passes. I'm not learning Torah. I'm not davening. I'm not doing the things I need to do. I'm doing things I need not to do. What's going on? Another day, and another day, and another day. The answer is lift up your eyes to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and wait. And it says, be ma'or d'ratzon. Ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please bring me close to you. So Rabbeinu says, the Torah of your base, that the main thing is emes. The person says, Ana Hashem Moshiach, save me. He says, even if a person doesn't even mean it, lip service. There's some sort of truth in it. There's an akud of emes in it, because you're asking about it. You're asking for it. So it means it's never you don't want it, but you would want to want it. We would want to. Want. Doesn't matter how many steps back, but there's an akud of emes. We wouldn't talk about it. Ask and wait. Do what you can. Do what you can. Sometimes you can't do this, do something else. You can learn Torah, do mitzvahs. Whatever it is that you can get away with, whatever it is that you can do, whatever it is that you can do that, do that. Put this in the pot and wait. I remember when I first discovered this principle, I mean, you can hear about it till the countdown, but to learn it, it's like you have to touch a hot pot. Okay, now you know you're not supposed to touch something hot. Years ago, I wasn't in Iraq, I was brand new, the new kid on the block. I just came around, whatever it is, and suddenly I have this. Until then, and this and davening, whatever it is, suddenly all the doors are closed. All the doors are closed. I can't wait until the davening is over. And I'm looking at this, what the heck happened to me? I realized that from the whole davening, the only thing that I could say, the kavanah, was during the Philosophaim, Tachman, Tsaras Levovi, Yechivu, the straits of my heart overwhelmed me. Mitzukosa Yotzieni. Take me out of my mitzukah, my distress. That's it. That's the only thing I could say b'kavanah. The whole davening, I didn't know where I was. I didn't even know where in the field I was. I don't even know where my head was. That's the only one possible. Somehow, because Baruch Hu gave me a sech and says, stick to that. Hold on to that one pasuk. You can say b'kavanah, fine. And lo and behold, after some, I kept on doing it. After some time, okay. Then the door opened again. No problem. It's a must. And it needs a lot of chizuk. A lot of chizuk. Hold on to whatever it is that you can. Stay away from whatever bad you can. Do whatever good you can, any which way or form, and wait. All right. It's a b'china of yitzchak. It's a year. Because Welcome knows what he said. I don't have money. I can't pay the rent. I can't pay the vagbite. I can't do this. Beseder. You take a look. Hashem is getting, when you get close to Hanukkah, we'll talk a little bit about, the historical footnotes of what led to Hanukkah, what was going on there. Besides the saying of Hanukkah, the Meyoideh, and so on, it's definitely from Chodesh Kislev. There's a time to get into the Inaf Yoidah, because it's not just something, it's just good manners. Say thank you. Baruch Hashem is the road of Torah is a totally different road. It's a totally different life. Anyhow. So Amalach Agolas Haneorim, Agolti B'Kol Ra Yivrechas Haneorim, V'Kol Mem Shmi V'Shem Avo Yisrael. Remember, the year is called Shem, Shmi V'Shem Avo Yisrael. In the year of Yaakov Avinu, so forth and so on. And so, we're getting into Chodesh Kislev, B'ezrat Hashem, Shabbos, Sunday. I want to obviously wish you and me and Klal Yisrael an abundance of Yeshuas. And B'ezrat Hashem, Sach Brochas, anybody that needs Parnasa, we get Parnasa B'Shefa. Anybody needs refuah, and is into health. And B'ezrat Hashem will be zeichet to see in the coming Mshich, B'ezrat Hashem, build Binyan Beis Hamikdash, B'ezrat Hashem, B'yira B'yom Amen.
My car just broke down. The battery went, so I got.